Hello everyone, my name is Christina. I am the product manager for TaxBandits. With me today we have Nikita, the product manager for one of our sister products, Tax 990.
Hey!
For anyone that is not as familiar with TaxBandits, we are an IRS authorized e-file provider. We help businesses and tax preparers e-file forms with the IRS, the SSA, and states. We are SOC 2 certified, and we support over 40 tax forms like the Form W-2, 941, 1095, 1099, and many, many more.
Many more.
Real quick, before we get started, I just want to remind everyone that while we are an IRS authorized e-file provider, and we have years of experience, we are not tax advisors. So we're going to talk about a lot of tax-related topics today, but if you need specific help for your business, if you have specific questions or need advice, we always recommend contacting a CPA or reaching out to the IRS directly. So today we will be discussing the ERC. What is it, how to claim it, the IRS warnings about it, and how the 941 and the 941X kind of come into play with the ERC. So Nikita, do you have any questions for us today about the ERC?
Of course. So I think, the biggest one to start off with, what is the ERC?
Excellent question, especially because it's an acronym, right? Like you hear it all the time, but literally what does it even mean? So the ERC is an employee retention credit. This is a refundable tax credit that businesses that were affected by the COVID-19 pandemic could be eligible for. So for example, businesses that paid wages to employees while they were shut down during that COVID-19 time period, they could be eligible. There are certain recovery startup businesses that could be eligible, and businesses that had a significant decrease in their gross receipts during a certain time of that kind of COVID-19 pandemic period could be eligible. So there are a lot of potentially eligible businesses. There are a lot of specifics that narrow those three categories down. And because there's so much information out there about the ERC, we've compiled a free downloadable PDF. It'll be linked in the description of this video, and it'll have more information on who's eligible, on figuring out if you're eligible. And as we go on through our questions, there will be other specific topics that we'll talk about being included in the PDF as well.
So how do you claim an ERC?
That is a great question. So eligible taxpayers can claim the ERC on an employment tax return or on an amended employment tax return like a 941 or a 941X.
So I've heard some things about the 7200 form, and is that related to the ERC, or what is that?
It is, and I'm so glad that you asked. We definitely still get questions about the 7200. It's actually no longer available.
Oh, okay.
So the 7200 was an advance payment of employer credits due to COVID-19. As this was an advance form, it has been discontinued. It actually couldn't be filed any longer after January 31st, 2022. So it's way out there.
A bit ago.
But again, there's so much information out there about the ERC that people they hear about it, they ask about it. Now this doesn't mean that the ERC can't be filed for. As we mentioned a minute ago, eligible businesses can still file on a 941, a 941X, possibly other forms for this, just not on the 7200. But there are also deadlines for when you can file to claim this credit. The specific deadlines will also be in our PDF, but that's something to keep in mind if it's something that a business is considering. They want to make sure that they don't wait too long to look into that.
So with all of that information, what do you think is the number one thing that people need to know about applying and claiming that ERC?
I mean, I think it's really important that businesses and even individuals be aware that the IRS has been issuing warnings about the ERC credit since around November of 2022. So for quite a while now, they've been issuing warnings about various scenarios that are happening related to this ERC, and we'll dive into some of those. There are a lot of businesses that could benefit from the ERC. However, there are a lot of third parties the IRS has been issuing these warnings about that are advertising about applying for the ERC, and they may be helping to apply for this credit even if a business isn't eligible. And a lot of these third parties are providing misinformation about if a business is eligible, about the calculation to actually figure out what the total credit is. And some of them are even requiring large upfront fees to apply for this credit, even when maybe the credit's not being applied for correctly or for somebody that's eligible for it. And so that's obviously a big concern.
Absolutely.
So especially, there's so much information to also have misinformation out there with it, like
navigating all the things.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that's pretty scary in itself, and I'm sure, mistakes happen all the time. So what happens if a business incorrectly applies for the ERC credit?
It's a big concern for them. The IRS specifically states that taxpayers are always responsible for the information that's reported on their returns. So if a credit is being claimed incorrectly, it could result in the business having to repay the credit, and the IRS also references that there could be penalties or even interest involved. So it can end up being quite a headache.
Absolutely. What other concerns might a business face with the ERC credit?
That's a great question, because as if that wasn't enough, there are more. Many tax preparers offer a wonderful service for their clients. They're helping them do something that a lot of them don't want to do on their own, right? Taxes are a lot. So to have somebody to help you with that is such an amazing resource. However, the IRS has seen tax preparers out there taking advantage of the fact that they have access to sensitive data. They've seen tax preparers fraudulently applying for the credit.
Oh.
And even using that sensitive data to complete things like identity fraud and other scams. So it's a big concern to make sure that you're using an approved or valid tax preparer.
What kind of suggestions would you have for a business to vet those accountants and find the best ones?
The IRS actually has a whole directory, and
nice.
I feel like that's another one of those not talked about enough things. Is there's a whole directory on tax preparers, and the IRS also has tips on choosing your tax preparer, because there are so many different industries. Your product works with the nonprofits. Mm-hmm. There are all kinds of different businesses, and so some tax preparers kind of specialize in different things. So the IRS has the resources for finding somebody that's right for your business. Businesses can also protect their data by making sure that they're working with secure companies. If you are a business that wants to file for yourself, or if you're a tax preparer that's just looking for a reliable service or solution to complete these forms, TaxBandits does support the 941 and the 941X. Mm-hmm. We are IRS authorized, we are SOC 2 certified, so that when you file with us, your data is secure.
And a business could do that, or an accountant, whoever feels comfortable using it, really. Okay.
Yeah, we're set up for really anybody that needs to file, that's authorized to file.
So we've gone through all of that information. I understand what it is, how to use it, who to have file it, all of the things. Now, it's filed. How do I find out the status of my ERC?
Oh, and that's the big question, right? Is you've gone through all of this stuff to get this credit. And really the simple answer is only the IRS can give you information on it. Even if you file and you see that your form is accepted, the IRS is still the one that's going to be able to give you any information on that credit. So we do suggest reaching out to the IRS if you need information on that. There is a business hotline phone number. They have a lot of different directory phone numbers available, so we'll make sure to include that information, as well as details on the other things that we've talked about in that PDF, so make sure to download it below.
We will tell you, TaxBandits will tell you if your form was approved, but we don't want people wasting their time.
Exactly.
Calling us, calling another, their accountant, all of these things, when, in the end, they still have to call the IRS for that information.
Exactly. You even get an email from us if the form is accepted. We want you to know you've got your records and everything available through TaxBandits, but that's the key, is not, everybody is so busy these days, not wasting your time trying to figure something out and not even being in the right place.
Right.
So we just want to make sure that everything that we can help clear up, we are.
Awesome. Well, that was such great information. I appreciate you having me join and ask some questions.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for talking to us about the ERC. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to subscribe so you can see our future videos. Comment below if you have any questions or thoughts you'd like to see new videos on. So thank you.